All right, everybody, Turo's come out with some interesting new changes that definitely is going to hurt the low-end economy car renter, and I wanted to make this video to kind of talk overall big picture strategy, how I'm thinking about pivoting to adapt and survive, and we'll dive in and take a look. And what I'm talking about specifically is the new rules related to 5-star maintenance. So let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen and take a look so we could go through together and talk about exactly what those changes are and what I think it's hurting in the business. Alright, so if you take a look at my screen here, you're going to see for quality standards, this article details Turo's updated quality standards, including a planned increase to the 5-star and maintenance rate threshold. Use this guide to learn about new compliance requirements going into effect September 14th, 2026, and how to avoid automatic vehicle restrictions. So, of course, generally speaking, when it comes to trip ratings, the low-end economy model is definitely being singled out in this, and that's because a lot of the times with our fleet, just because we have an older looking vehicle, you automatically may get 4 stars for maintenance or 4 stars overall or something like that. And some people have even left a comment literally on our review, old but reliable. So when the guest chooses to rent, say, a 2011 or a 2013 or something like that, when they know that that's the actual car and they could see photos of the car and they know when they make that choice, for some reason when they get there, of course, the perception still could be less than. So that is where this usually becomes a little bit on the unfair side, and because of that, we have to think about how we're going to adapt and survive. So let's see specifically what they're changing. To keep the marketplace competitive and encourage more repeat bookings, Turo is raising quality standards for the 5-star rate to 70% by April 2027 and setting a higher vehicle maintenance rate threshold starting September 14th, 2026. 5-star rates will roll out increases to 5-star rates in 3 phases. In each phase, Turo will identify and notify hosts who don't meet the new threshold of their current rate, their deadline for improvement, and the consequence of having the ability to host restricted if they're unable to improve. Evaluation date. Turo reviews hosts' 90-day 5-star rate. Hosts below the upcoming threshold are notified and enter the improvement period. Deadline. Turo reviews hosts' 5-star rate from the improvement period. Hosts who fail to reach the required threshold will have their accounts removed. An improvement period. The time between evaluation and deadline. Only trips completed and rated during this period count towards meeting the required threshold by the deadline. So, assuming that that's true, because in the past we've had issues with Turo saying that unrated trips count as a 0. So this one for the improvement period says only trips completed and rated during this period count towards meeting the required threshold. So if that holds true and unrated trips don't count against you, then I would say this is not as bad as it initially sounds. If it's only rated trips, I would say 7 out of 10 is not that hard to accomplish. Generally speaking, we'll have 3 or 4 right out the gate just that are unrated trips, and that is not because a guest had an unpleasant experience or because there was any issues with vehicles. Just in general, in the low-end economy model, everyone is rushing. They're all working, doing gig work, this, that, and the other thing. And they don't even read the automated messages half the time. They asked me for the code when the code was sent to them 20 minutes before. They didn't even read the message that had it. So these are people that just do not pay attention to the app and the messages. They just want to get the car, get to what they're doing, and be done with it. So if they take the unrated out, then I actually don't think this is that hard of an accomplishment. But, of course, it is a significant increase. And, it's to protect Turo. Sort of, it's to really hurt the low-end economy people, I think, because as I've mentioned before, my honest opinion of where the business is going on the Turo platform specifically is they're shifting to wanting people to have newer vehicles. They want newer vehicles, lower mileage vehicles. They want vehicles that are less dinged and banged up and all of that stuff, which of course is a better guest experience, but for us to make that business model work, it would have to be priced accordingly. So while they want you to increase your cost of acquisition, while they want a better and newer car on the platform, they also want you to price more and more competitively and be cheaper. So in other words, they're just trying to crush your bottom line. if it was an incentive where they're putting a flat rate for what like each type of vehicle should be booked for or something, and you know that, hey, if I spend more money to get a better car, I know for a fact I'm going to make more money, it's not the end of the world. But this is where that kind of catch-22 is, where they're not necessarily saying you can't put older cars on there and higher mileage cars on there. They haven't changed those restrictions yet, but they're making it harder and harder and harder for you to stay on the platform and be approved. So this is just something that we have to pivot and survive. Now, make sure you stick around to the end of the video, because then I will go over the strategy of what I am thinking about doing to implement after we finish going through this. Beyond that, if you haven't already, head to the description below, click the link. It's going to take you to Fleet Freedom. That is my community. And inside the community, I'm going to be doing a vehicle by vehicle breakdown of my own personal fleet and which cars I'm thinking may have to be retired versus which cars I'm going to keep in this new model, because I am going to have to pivot and change a little bit when it comes to my fleet on Turo to make it make sense. So now let's take a look and see what it has to say about maintenance rates. So Turo is increasing the maintenance rate threshold in phases to encourage a better guest experience. Increases will be rolled out in 3 phases. Maintenance rate is determined by the percentage of 5-star maintenance ratings received out of the last 10 completed trips. If a trip receives a 5-star overall trip rating, but no rating in the maintenance category, Turo will consider this a 5-star maintenance rating. That's good. Unlike 5-star rate, which is evaluated at each phase deadline, maintenance rate is evaluated continuously. On each phase's effective date, any vehicle below the new threshold on its last 10 trips will be automatically restricted from new bookings until an inspection is approved. So, what are those new rates? Okay, Phase 1, September 14, 2026. The new rating will be 50%, which is an increase of 20% from the previous 30%. Automatic restrictions of vehicles below 50% on their last 10 trips from new bookings until an inspection is approved. January 4th, 2027, it'll go to 60%. Automatic restrictions of vehicles below 60% on their last 10 trips from new bookings until an inspection is approved. Phase 3, April 26, 2027. They have not decided yet. TBD. Turo will announce the new threshold and restriction details in January of 2027. So in other words, who knows? Based on the other one and the increases that this is phasing by, chances are it's going to go to 70%. Who knows? Maybe it stays at the 60%. I highly doubt that. So chances are you're probably looking at 70%, but if it goes even higher, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. But who knows? We don't know where it's going. And they suggest here, follow these guidelines to improve or maintain your maintenance rate and avoid having your vehicle restricted. Monitor each vehicle's maintenance rate in the Vehicles tab. Check the Reviews tab to see specific issues guests have flags. Address maintenance items proactively. Ratings often recover within a few trips. Turo's maintenance requirements include, but are not limited to, these essentials. Turo reserves the right in its sole discretion to decide if a maintenance issue falls short of standards required by the platform. Air conditioning, battery age, body, brakes, dashboard lights, horn, interior components, mirrors, seat belts, tires, vehicle lights, windshield. So that's all normal stuff. However, what I noticed that was a surprisingly big change. The body. Host should make every effort to repair any cosmetic damage to the body of the vehicle, dents, scratches, etc. When dents, scratches, dings are present, they must be less than 3 inches in diameter. If the damage is irreparable, please refer to our accuracy standards. Now, if you're on the Earn More plan, your deductible is what, $2,750, something like that, up from the previous $2,500. That means we have to eat the first $2,000 and change when we go through a claim. And most of the time, we're not able to convince guests to be able to come out of pocket to pay for repairs. So let's say we have a 4-inch dent or ding on the car. Normally, we would take whatever we could get from a guest. If it was, let's say the repair was $1,000 and we could only get $150 or $200 out of the guest, then that's pocket change. We leave that dent on the car. Not the end of the world. We try to suction cup it out. If it's a scratch, we try to buff it out as best as we can. So now, if we have to pay to fix all of these little things, then that means Turo should allow us to charge the guest directly, not going through insurance for these more minor dents and dings. And I don't see that as being part of the policy. Now, that's going to happen on any car that you have, whether it's a 12 or 13-year-old car or a 5 or 6-year-old car or a brand new car. Guests are going to damage those vehicles. There is no way around that. Of course, on the newer cars, you're probably going to have to take out a loan. You will have to pay more money to fix those. It's usually more expensive parts on newer cars, so on and so forth. Less available ones in the aftermarket space, things like that. So personally, I find that one to be a little more on the annoying side because I don't think that there is a clear option from Turo to help us keep those cars in good shape. If we were allowed to charge the guest and just, even if they pay the shop directly or something like that, obviously we're not just trying to pocket the money or whatever. It's just if we could recuperate the loss of keeping those vehicles in good shape when they happen, then it would be a lot easier. Of course, major damage we're able to usually recuperate through the insurance, but I don't know. So all of that to say, I do have a strategy for how I'm thinking about adapting my fleet. I'm not giving up the low-end economy model, but I am adapting what cars I get. I may start shying away from the $2,500 to $4,000 auction find unless I can find a car that's really in pristine shape. And I'm looking at vehicles that offer nicer features. I've noticed personally in my own fleet that my cars that are nicer, so let's say leather, heated seats, moonroof, whatever it is, like some of those luxury features and amenities in the car, those tend to get higher ratings, even though it's a Honda Accord or an Acura TSX and it's a 2013, 14, 15, whatever it is. Those generally get much higher ratings from guests because of that perception of, oh, this is a nice car. It's black on black. It's got black leather seats. It's power seats. Oh, the air conditioning works great, blah, blah, blah. As opposed to coming up to, a Mitsubishi Mirage that's really just bare bones, basic car. So I'm thinking that the cars that I'm going to be continuing to search for are cars that are maybe the same ones, your Honda, Toyota, Mazda, but I'm going to focus more on having some of those creature comforts in the car. If I can find them a year or two newer and lower mileage, fine. If not, I'm not too worried about it. I will prioritize doing as much preventative maintenance as humanly possible before I put the car on the platform, and just making sure that we're using our trackers to take care of it ahead of schedule, so that way we are in a position where it is least likely to have a problem. ACs get recharged right before the summer, make sure everything's good there. We have our heat checked, radiator, all that stuff before winter. So just staying on top of everything to try to make them as comfortable as possible. I think having a 2015 bare bones Honda Accord versus a 2015 like limited edition Honda Accord, and they're priced within the same, $5 range or something, I think you're going to have a lot more success with that. So that's personally what I'm looking at doing with my fleet. That's what I would recommend for you. I think going completely in their direction of getting brand new or super new cars and taking out debt, I don't think it's worth it at all. I think it's a sucker's bet, and I think that it will end up hurting your business overall because it is less likely to survive these higher pressure times where they are really trying to crush your bottom line. And a message to Turo specifically, especially when it comes to the body damage, you really need to let us be able to get refunded or get paid to have all of the body work fixed on the car. Otherwise, it's just an endless money pit because people back into things, they scratch cars, they open the door and hit something, and it's going to happen. There's nothing I could say about it. And if our deductibles too high, most of these repairs could be $1,000 or less. So even if you were on one of the higher plans and your deductibles, whatever, $250 to $1,000 or something like that, it still makes no sense for us to repair it. Unless you're on a plan where you have zero deductible, but then we're giving up 40% of our earnings or something like that, it just doesn't make sense. So there has to be a way for us to be able to recuperate expenses directly tied to damage that was done to the trip. Of course, the insurance is there really for when the car is totaled or when there's some major significant action, but you really got to take a look at that. So anyway, enough with that. Like I said, you want to make sure that you're staying on top of tracking. And like I said, if you wanted to see my individual fleet breakdown of which cars I'm thinking of shifting off the platform, removing from Turo, and retiring, potentially looking at doing something with them on a third-party platform or creating a direct rental business. That's what I'm toying around with, but I'm not 100% committed to that yet. You can see that in Fleet Freedom, as well as have access to how I've built some of the tracking tools that I'm using, and also access to the actual trackers for maintenance and finances that we use with our Turo business. I think there's a ton of value in Fleet Freedom. You also get direct access to ask me questions, and also live Zoom calls once a month where I talk about a topic, and it's a full open Q&A panel. There's some other hosts in there that are doing wonderfully, and people that are just starting, so I think it's a great community to be in. It is still growing, but that's the cool thing about it. You get updates from me in real time with real problems that I'm having with a fleet as an operator that is boots on the ground right there with you. So head on down to the link, click it, check out Fleet Freedom, see if it's right for you. Otherwise, leave a comment down below. Let me know about the challenges and what you think you're going to do to pivot and survive these changes with Turo. Also, don't forget, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one, everybody. Take care.